Hello everyone and welcome to part 2 of my uni experience. So, we are almost 3 months now into uni. Where on earth has the time gone? To put that into perspective, right, from September to May, that's 9 months. We are 3/9 in. We're a third of the way through the academic year. Scary. So we're going to talk about what's been, what's there to talk about, what's coming up, and all that stuff. So strap in because there's quite a lot to talk about. So last time took you until probably about 2/3 of the way through October. The first major big thing I want to talk about that really wound me out was the Talent Inc. thing back in October, on the 28th, right? So a while ago before that, I applied for this, and I actually did apply for it before, but I was on casualty. I had an SA job, a supporting artist job, and I chose that over this Talent Inc. thing. Looking back now, I made the right choice. But back then, I thought I should have done that. But let me explain, right? So on the 28th of October, I rock up to this audition that takes place in a hotel lobby here in Cardiff. I'm going to move over for pictures and whatnot. We're all in a holding cell, the hotel lobby, until they call us. We had to sign in at this desk that was outside the room, and once signed in, we go in. There was loads of rows of seats and a stage, which was different to what I was expecting, because what I was expecting was to be called individually for small auditions, where we would have like 1-to-1 or 1 to casting directors and whatnot. But no! It was everyone performing in front of everyone. I mean, fair play in terms of confidence and whatnot. This didn't bother me in the slightest, I was actually quite excited, but everyone performing to everyone, like, okay, I've never had an audition like this before. I had a monologue prepared, as the audition said to have something prepared. I used my monologue from last year to prove that I could do serious acting, and of which I got quite decent feedback from, so I spent a lot of time learning it. I during work I was going over it, and the weeks building up to it, I was learning that, well, not weeks leading up to it, the days leading up to it, I was learning it. But more on this later. So we all sit down, and when it starts, the main guy introduces himself and the company with like this 10-minute video of people that they said that they represented. And this company is mainly American though, travelling considerably, because I've never left the United Kingdom, right? But they were also based in London as well, but mainly American. But they do have a London bit, but still impractical. But I thought I'd give it a go. I did give it a go. So the first thing that he has us all do was this modelling thing, where we have to walk along the thing. I don't have the Theresa May meme here, but we walk along the thing, then we walk across. Walk across the thing. Wait there. Walk down the aisle. Look to the left. Look to the right, turn back around, go back, pause, look at everyone, and head off. Right. So it's modelling essentially. It was quite fun. I do that, and then the next thing was this TV audition line read. This was very American, as you can probably guess. They used American adverts such as Sears, McDonald's, and Disneyland. And depending on your age would depend on which one you had to do. I had to do mine on Sears. Is there even a Sears in the UK? Fair enough. But he taught us how to do a successful audition in his thing, which was actually quite educational, and I will use some of the advice from the thing. But it's stuff like terminology that they may use, don't be miserable, be confident, that sort of thing. Some of it's quite vague and generic, but everyone does their line reading, but in groups this time, while being recorded on someone's phone. I do mine, I wait for everyone else, and we all sit back down. The last thing we do threw me off though. He wanted everyone who was there as a singer or dancer to get in a line. This quickly became apparent to me that just acting wasn't what they wanted. Internally I was thinking, shit, okay, what do I do? Because I prepared that monologue, didn't I? I was going to do my monologue about parental loss, not that one. I had about 10 to 15 minutes to decide, as people were told to do, 30-minute extracts of a song or dance of their choosing. So I was in the queue thinking, what can I do, what can I do, what can I do? No, I can't do that, I can't do that, I could do that. I considered doing songs such as Don't Stop Believing, I give up the old razzle and dazzle. Both Beautiful Gun, Beautiful Creatures, that sort of thing. In Voodoo, the happiest hippo. That's me. Songs like that I was gonna do. And like with 5 minutes left to go, I was thinking, what can I do? And then it hit me. Mr. Cellophane. Because I know I can sing this. I've done it live on stage and when I was on my first night out. First night clubbing, I sung Mr. Cellophane at a karaoke place. So it's now my go-to song if I've ever got to sing something properly. So I decide I'm going to do Mr. Cellophane. Eventually it's my go, I walk over, I put my bag down, deep breath, and I sing. Despite the nerves I had for this, because singing is not my forte, right? I think I sounded actually not bad. I think when you can sing out loud and hear how you sound a lot better than when you're just mumbling or sing whispering. Do you know what I mean? Or just singing quietly. Regardless of how difficult it may or may not be, depending on who's in the room with you. Right? But I do my extract of Mr. Cellophane, and then I leave with my brochure. I was able to put this as a workshop on my acting resume. It was audition techniques by Scott, what's his face? So I got something out of it as to whether I was successful or not. That's what I was thinking. If I got it, great. If I didn't, well, it's something I can include it as experience. I had it in my head that if you were chosen, you had a free training course where you would meet some amazing people to work with professionally, and you would meet agents who would take you on professionally. I had this like, that's what I thought. They lead you to believe that as well, right? But on the way back to my student accommodation, I read this bloody brochure, and it's only at the back that it mentioned, you know, after all the good things that they've done, company bibliography, the training course, and all that, that there's actually a price of £1,500. Just insanity. Well, it's actually in dollars. So what's that? $1,950 which is mental. I didn't think I'd be chosen anyway because there was a lot of talent in the room with gorgeous singing voices and people that could model properly, professionally. So I went home confident in the knowledge that it was a nice night out. I'm probably not going to get chosen, but that's okay. Because obviously back then I thought that it would be a free training course I was missing out on, not that much. But it was experience I could put on my resume, I suppose, my acting resume. I get home to my accommodation here, and I had a phone call, which was about 3 hours later, about 10, 11 o'clock-ish. I was in my flat kitchen with the others in my flat. Quick side note, by the way, because I know they're probably watching this. I'm probably not there watching this. They are more than just my flatmates. They are all some of my closest friends, I want to point that out. And Henry, my husband. I often wonder what might have been if I got into the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. Right? I do often think that sometimes, I can't deny. But I wouldn't have met them if I did. So now I'm glad that I didn't get in. I'm going to predict right now that at least one of you are watching this in the kitchen right now whilst I'm in my room. Hello. To everyone else, this is probably just incredibly awkward. Love you guys, but Henry more. But yeah, just after the phone call, they ask, you know, how are you? How do you think it went? And then they mention how there were only about 100 people there and only 10 people could be chosen. So there wasn't room for many, not to get my hopes up. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, yeah. I'd accepted this in my head, right? I accepted that this might have slightly attacked me on an acting level, but that would have been the easy option, but it's fine, right? So I was ready to hang up the phone, but then they tell me that I got it, I was just stunned. There was a silence as my brain was just trying to work it out and trying to comprehend it. And then they explained that you had to have had 3 yeses from the 3 people that were there in order to be chosen. So each of them liked me on the aspect of modelling, the audition reading, the singing. They thought I had a good singing voice and that I was confident on camera. I wonder why. Then they start mentioning the tuition fees and stuff. Now this was too big a choice to make over the phone and on the spot, so I say I would give them a call back. I'm guilty of the fact that I even considered doing it. I told my mum, my flatmates, but both of whom were over the moon. This time, mum, bless her, she was like, "Oh my god!" And my flatmates were very, very proud of me. Then I mentioned the tuition fee. It's £1.50, right? Let's assume I'd have done it. I'd have paid in one to save £200 because they did a thing where if you paid in one, it would be £1.50 as opposed to £1,700, and you would do 4 days of work in London, and then a 4-day workshop thing in America. As if that wasn't scary enough, this doesn't include food, travel, accommodation, that sort of thing. It's more like £2,000 at this point. No, I'm not. I cannot afford that, and I'm not putting my family through that. So I explained to them that it was too expensive for me to do. I thought I did a decent explanatory text back saying that financially we could not do this, but all the best, / send it to someone who can afford to do so, but thank you for the audition and the advice that I'd learned, right? And the next thing they do is text back the instalment option, but it would have been £76 for 22 months. Hell no! I earn like £250 a month from McDonald's, right? And it's a shit job as it is. Giving away like 45% of it a month for the next year and 10 months is not happening. No. I explained that we were not in a position to afford this, but thank you for trying. Thank you for trying to accommodate us. And I'm just saying that I didn't want to do it. I couldn't do it. And they get back with quite a stroppy message, I think. I've covered up some of the private info, but look at that. I thought you just wanted to make it happen. And look at the crap grammar they've used as well. Like, that's hardly professional. I get it's a company, so they have to make money, but someone's told you, quite respectfully I would think, that they can't afford your course, so that you have to turn it down regardless of your supposed talent. You know, I wasn't asking for them to bend the rules to let me do it. I was telling them I did not want to do it because I couldn't afford it. So I'm saying I'm not doing the course. But they get back with that. And you just think, like, how unprofessional is that? Like, they wanted me to do the course, great. I would have loved to have done it, but I physically cannot justify and afford that. It's quite insensitive too. You know, you're really talented. Give us £2,000. Do you know what I mean? It's quite insensitive. And I think it raises the question of just how many people actually get tricked into falling for these sham courses. Because I did my research, and it turns out that while what they do is legal, it's essentially just an eye-wateringly expensive crash course. That's what it is. It's legal, just as much as, I don't know, Hello. Were you listening in?
Hello. You look so handsome.
Hi, Jamie.
Hello.
Hello.
Talk about the talent ink thing.
Love you.
Oh, you too.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Bye, Jamie.
Bye. Fair enough. But yeah, giving away like 45% of all of the money that I earn for the next year and 10 months, it's not happening. I get that it's a company. They have to make money. Fine. But if someone's told you respectfully that they can't afford your course, therefore they don't want to do it, they can't do it, and that they've got to turn it down, regardless of their supposed talent, like, I wasn't asking them to bend the rules for me or anything. So needless to say, I probably will not be going back with them on the grounds that they were very rude about it. It's quite a shame really, because even if in the future I could afford to do so, out of principle now, I don't know if I want to. Like in here it says, right, going through the experience, meeting the agents, gave her so much confidence, it was incredible. She really enjoyed it and ended up meeting with 13 agents. She is now signed and working. Here they just forgot to mention working as a cleaner trying to pay off their debt. What a load of shit. Well, that took up a huge part of the video, didn't it? Now let's talk about some more uni stuff. Our essay that we did, mine that I did on the difference in representation of Welsh people in classic and modern Doctor Who, was due to be submitted on the 5th of November, and I submitted mine on the 4th. I kept meaning to getting around to doing my second draft, but there was such a huge gap between the first draft and the second or final draft, because I was contemplating doing a mini video essay to go along with it, like clips of characters that I mentioned in my essay to back up my point and actually show clips of what they're like, the characters. But I figured that there was just no point, because we're not getting marked on creativity this time, it is just on the information, I think. But yeah, we didn't have to, like last year when we had to make an essay based around something, and I did mine on accessible theatre. That was the topic, right? And to make my own essay accessible, I did it in chunk-sized slides on PowerPoint, available in English and Welsh, in text and video/audio format, in English and Welsh. I worked really hard on that, and I got my 70 marks? Yeah, 70 marks, which is a first, right? That was creative, and I enjoyed doing that, but this time it's just an essay. Although I get to talk about Doctor Who. And Wales, that's fun. I also had a contents page in my essay at the very top. So you can click to the random parts and it will just take you to where it is in the essay. Great. It's the small things that count. Plus all the images I included. I included quite a lot of images in this essay. Jolly times. It's submitted now though, and it has been for like 2 weeks as of recording this, so we don't have to do that anymore. I don't know when we'll find out the results for that, could be a while. We do also have to do a PowerPoint of the essay, which isn't being marked though, which is strange. We're just doing it for the sake of it, I suppose. And it's good practice to practice performing, well, presenting, I suppose. We don't know when we're doing this. As of the 8th, I thought we were doing it on Tuesday the 12th. We never did. It's currently Wednesday, no, it's Tuesday the 7th, it's Tuesday the 17th or 18th, one of them. And we're not doing this task until further notice now, because we've got our devise to work on at the moment, which is taking up all of our time. But this essay PowerPoint is just, I don't know what's going on with it. What else is there to talk about? Well, I was writing this bit on the bus ride home, so I'm genuinely not sure I wasn't sure at the time what to talk about, so I was scrolling through my photos to jog my memory. And there's not really a great amount to hear in terms of uni work, which is ironic because it's a series all about my uni experience. Just 2 modules worth. We have our devise piece we're working on, making progress. Our piece is going to be about 20 to 30 minutes long because there's 9 of us in our group. For those of you that haven't seen part 1, there was a big merge of 2 groups. I think it was a 5 and a 4. It was merged into a 9. And our piece has gone through so much. It started off as a game show, but each person was a personified emotion. There was also a community hall setting as well that we moved on to. But we didn't do that. I was initially very reluctant to do the group merge because I didn't think it would work, but I think everyone's pulled it off. I think we have. Like, everyone's pulling the weight in different ways and it's going really well. We have a full script draft done now. It's like 3,500 words with 3 acts in it. It's going really well. I think we're all quite proud of it. There's more to be said about this though, I think, in part 3. At one point though, we had a massive low in our group. And I'm glad we got through it to make our peace, because I really like what we have now. But for a while we went through a massive low where we just had to start all from scratch, and it was just, everyone was stressed and it was just a nightmare. Because we have to make sure that 9 people have enough stage time with a decent character and a story. But we're smashing it. It's the talent that we have among the group. We're doing really well, I think. In part 3, hopefully I'll have a lot more to say about this. Our other module is called Applied Drama. It's using acting as a tool to help someone's confidence and to encourage people to express their creativity. So yeah, it's like running workshops for younger or older people. Like, it's fun, but it's not bad. But we're still working on this, I think. Basically, during the lessons we do like drama games and then discuss like how they could be used, or like when they couldn't be used, like sporty and more physically active games with the elderly. You wouldn't do that.
Whoa!
Or really complicated games with the younger ones, and you know what I mean? Because this is just going to go wrong and cause people to feel like they're missing out. You would as well if you were the main reason that an entire group of people couldn't do something. You'd feel quite bad, you know. So you plan in advance what you're going to do in order to not offend people. That's what we're going to be doing. We're not put into groups yet, I'm not sure, but our assessment is going to be going to places in the community and then running a workshop, which is it's going to be quite interesting, I think. I'm not sure what the group's going to be or where we're going to be doing stuff, but it's going to be cool. I've done similar stuff, like when I was in Boys Brigade running games for the younger ones, because I was doing my volunteering for my Duke of Edinburgh bronze badge, which I've got. And when I was helping out with the disabled students where my mum works, because I was also volunteering, so I'd get my hours up. It's very rewarding, and it teaches you how to be careful how you act or think and what you say as well. I'm all for this because, for example, if I stubbed my toe, my reaction is fuck. But you can't do that, you know, especially if there's children. So you gotta constantly be aware of what you're saying, especially if you're. Well, it depends on who you're working with, but you've got to be careful, and that's quite hard. But apart from that module and the devise, that's pretty much it for uni at the moment. But there's a lot of side quests that I've been on. I like calling them side quests. On Halloween, some of us went for a night out. I went as the Doctor, of course I did. There were a few costume glitches I had to sort out beforehand, but I did indeed go as the Doctor. I didn't get drunk on this night out because last time I did, I was really drunk, like ridiculously so. So I'm being careful. I've been careful this time round. There were quite a lot of us there, mainly all from our class. We had some drinks in our cluster kitchen and we went out for the night. A lot of us wanted to go to Wetherspoons as this was the cheapest option, of course. But when we got there, it was very packed. Like, who'd have thought that the cheapest place for drinks and food would be packed on Halloween? Lots of costumes there, which was quite cool, but really packed. We had a drink there, and then we moved on to the next place, which was Coyote, I think it was. This was a new place for me though, very, very loud, but not bad in there, I suppose. I had a few drinks, and some brilliant news was dropped about a class romance that had been blossoming. I'll keep it vague, just in case, but you know who you are. Yeah, it was fab news to receive. We were all very happy for them. We later then moved on to another place called the Philharmonic, which cost £7 to get in, which was absolutely tragic. We ended up spending, well, the least amount of time in there too, but there we go. It was awful in there. Smoke machines that got everywhere, blinding strobe lights, and quite a small venue in general. We didn't stay here for long though, and we began to make our way back. But before we did, we had food. I had a kebab wrap as well, which it was lush. But I thought as well that it wouldn't be too bad for the diet because it's just a big wrap of meat, as opposed to just a greasy kebab meal. And then I began to walk back home, and I think that was that really. I think we used up most of our energy towards the start, and we were done by like 1 AM, which is still quite late to be fair. You know, we had like 6 hours of drinks, going out and having a laugh. It was quite a nice night. Just the fact that everywhere was booked was a bit of a downer. And yeah, I really enjoyed the walk that we had, finding different places that we could go, and it was a lovely, nice walk out in the night. Next is the anti-bullying short film. So about a month and a half ago, I saw an advert on Facebook. I think it was Facebook, where they were looking for people to work with. I don't remember what the advert looked like, but I was on the train at the time coming back home from uni, so I applied for it thinking, okay, well, probably won't get it, but I'm bored, so I'll apply for it. And to be honest, I completely forgot about it at one point, but nonetheless I applied, and on the thing they asked questions, like how acting could be used to show respect and stuff. And I would later get an email back on the 23rd of October saying that I got in. We had a Teams call on the 26th of October then, just 3 days after, just to meet everyone and talk about the project, which was a collaboration between Red Brick and Urban Stamp with Magmatic Stories, so I think 3 companies, and the theme was respect changes everything. So it was just a small call to establish the challenge and all the stuff that would encompass the challenge, if you will. So our first in-person meeting was on the 2nd of November, and this took place at the University of South Wales, but in the Newport campus. We met the group that we would be working with, and they introduced themselves. We had to fill out this food menu thing too. The whole thing was fab, right? We got free food for doing it. We got reimbursed travel as long as you took a photo of the receipt and uploaded it, and £150 as a bursary just to do it. It's a brilliant project, and it was a fantastic idea to allow anyone to do it, so budget isn't an issue. It really felt like a serious and professional project, not just because of the free food and travel and payment, but everyone was lovely, and we all came together to create a plan for our short film to be. It was amazing meeting everyone, just seeing the short film come together. So one of the first things that we did was split up into mini groups where we had to come up with ideas for it. and I came up with the idea of using a puzzle to show respect, and like that missing puzzle piece could signify someone's life not being complete without it, because what happens is someone ruins the puzzle, knocks it all over, and that piece just goes missing. The person then will, at the end, apologises, and it turns out they find the puzzle piece. Thus, equilibrium is restored. By apologising and restoring the puzzle to how it was, they're showing respect and rectifying their mistake. I have oversimplified it a bit, but that was the general plot at the start. Our short film was to be a challenge, as we had to have dancing and poetry in it, whilst sticking to only one space to film, and the duration had to be between 2 and 3 minutes long. I did write our first and second drafts, so I was the writer for our group, which was difficult because writing isn't really something I'm amazing at, unless it's meant to be depressing or miserable for some reason. I'm quite good at doing that, but I gave it a go. I was quite proud with what I came up with. I had a lot of stuff I had to include, and I did the best with what I could with it. When I'm writing this, my writing isn't very good, and you'll notice I use the same like 5 adjectives to describe something that makes something brilliant. Anyway, on this day we had free food. I had a lovely juice drink and a chili jacket potato for dinner. After dinner we went to the studio where we would be filming, just to get an idea and to plan what we would do, and then we went home. We were there from like 10 till 4 on each of on the 2 days, and then the challenge day. It only costs me like £6.50 a day just to get from my house to USW Newport. It's just a really long bus ride. It's fab. Oh, and a 10-minute walk, but that's fine. And it's reimbursed, so technically it is free. I'm not sure when we're going to get reimbursed, but we are at some point. Probably soon. The week after, so the 9th of November, which as of writing this I was writing this on the day of it, we made progress. It was on this day that we looked at my second draft I made, and we made notes in it to see what I could improve on and change about it. Then we would go to the studio where we would be for the rest of the day, making storyboards for the short film, noting where poetry is said, what camera angles we're going to use, and what the story would be now, because we did change the characters to make the story a bit more interesting and easier to do as well, because there was only, at the time there was I think like 6 of us working on it, plus the other people, but mainly 6 of us that applied for it. And we took photos of what our shots would be like, using what we had in the room at the time to get an idea of what the short film would look like. We had brilliant food, lovely barbecue baguettes with fruit juices. At the start of the sessions, I really respected this, right? At the start of the sessions, they mentioned how important it is to support local businesses, bless them. So they were getting food from local places by USW Newport, and fair play, the food, lush. Couldn't have asked for better food and hospitality, it was fab. And then on Saturday the 16th, which was the last day of our project, which had been a learning curve, by the way, for work behind the camera, although I mainly do work in front of the camera, right, but hey ho. It was quite interesting to see what would become of it. Now I want to talk about the mystery customer job, which sounds mysterious. Well, somehow months ago I found this thing where you get hired to go to restaurants, you eat for free, and you have to write a report of what it was like, so the people, the food and the place. I had the opportunity to do this on the 30th of October. So how this works is they send you an email or a text of a place local to you. You've got to read the brief beforehand to understand what they want you to be analysing. Like, I've done 2 now. One of them, and like sometimes they'll ask you to get a specific thing or options of things, and like photos they want taken. So you read it, you confirm, you go to the place, and you can have up to a certain amount of cost reimbursed. Like, for me, even though I didn't spend this much, because I'm still on a diet, right? I didn't spend this, but potentially I could have had up to £46 reimbursed, which is wild. For the first one, it was Oaxaca, which is this Mexican restaurant. I went inside, it was nearly packed, right? But I was sat to one of the outside tables, and I had to first write about how tidy the table was, and how polite they were. I couldn't have been happier, right? The table was really tidy, the people were lovely, bless them, and just the general atmosphere was lush. To start off, I had this lovely nacho platter, and it was quite big too, right? As a starter, the thing was huge. It was gorgeous, lovely food. Yeah, so barbecue nachos, and then for my main, I had this burrito roll thing. It was so good. I couldn't have had any better. No joke, I would happily go in there again, even if I wasn't paid to do so, because the prices weren't even that bad. For my starter, main and drink, it was about £30, which sounds expensive, and it is. I wouldn't go very often, but for what you get, the portion sizes were very generous. Like, it didn't help with my diet that day. It really didn't. But for one day, it wasn't that much of a deal, but it was a fab meal. I did get reimbursed for this as well. It's actually today I got reimbursed for it on the 18th. The waiter was lovely as well, bless him. I know what it's like to work serving customers. Oh, I mean, alright, I work in McDonald's, right? It's hardly a comparison. Not a restaurant, but it's still equally as shit serving the general public. But he seemed genuinely nice, bless him. I had nothing but detailed, positive praise for the place, the waiter, and the food. Once I'd paid, I had to take a photo of the bathroom as well as the review. Because in the review, they wanted a photo of the bathroom, the food, the table, the outside exterior shot, and all that. So, which I did. I left, I completed the review, and I walked back here. I didn't get much signal though, so I had to get back here, then send off the review, and not long after I'd get an email back saying that they were really happy with it, and they were impressed for what I sent off, and it was my first one. So I'm glad that I did my job well, and I would 100% do it again, as well as in moderation, because I'm still on a diet. The way I think of it is that learning to drive took 2.5 years, and that was my main goal for that time. Now my next one is slimming down a bit. But yeah, I've since been reimbursed for going, and it's a fab opportunity, you know what I mean? As long as I could manage my diet with it, it could have been quite a happy side gig as a restaurant tester, and it would save me money as a student from having to buy food. So yeah, I've also done tortilla as well. That was good. That was very good. And the last thing to mention is going to see Jonathan. On the 4th of November, me and Theo went to go and see Jonathan. For those of you that don't know, it's a Welsh language programme about rugby. For those of you that don't know me, I don't understand rugby, like, at all. But it's good practice to use my Welsh, and it's a fun night out. So I met Theo at about 5:30 outside my student accommodation, and we walked to the studio, which is about a 20-minute walk from here. I love living in Cardiff. It is so fun. I'm able to do so much more. So much more! Just opportunity-wise. Anyway, we get there, and we have to sign this form giving consent to be on telly, and we have a drink. We had a lovely lager. They're meant to be in red cups though, for when we go to the studio, because you can't show logos on telly. It's similar to when I do like essay work and they ask you to wear like plain clothes, so this wouldn't be fine. The costume that I wore before this would be fine, but this one is, well, Doctor Who, so I wouldn't be able to wear this. But the trousers would be fine, it's just plain, is this brown? I think it's brown. But anyway, not long before we had to go into the studio, I needed the loo. And there was this paper sign pointing to the left. Yeah, the left. for the toilets. To the left, there were stairs and a corridor that bends as well. I'll make some sort of diagram so you understand the situation here, because I'm quite bad at describing things. But we weren't sure which way to go. I thought, okay, it says keep left, so we're going to go up the stairs. And I get almost to the top, but when I walk upstairs, I always do this, you might notice it with me. Whenever I go upstairs, I always look down on my phone, going up the stairs, because it's really awkward just staring at people's bums like that. It's just really awkward. You don't know where to look. So that's the main reason I do it. And the second is just so I don't trip and fall. But yeah, so I'm going upstairs now, trying to go to the loo, and I get to the top and I just see a pair of legs. And this woman looking down on me, she goes, "Can I help you?" And I'm just like, sorry, I thought the toilet was up here. And she just goes, "No, it's through there." And so I go to go, but then but then when I turn back around on the process of doing so, I see on the doors Ruth Jones. I was confused and excited by this. I go back down and I tell Theo. We're both looking forward, as this would mean that she's going to be the guest on the show. Because on the programme we always have 2 guests in person, and I think, is it always or sometimes? I'm not sure, but they have a person over live call. I think it's on Skype or Zoom, one of them. But the other 2 people were some rugby dudes who I haven't got a clue of. One from Fiji, one from Wales, because of the match that went on. But I go to the loo and we go to the studio. Me and Theo were sat at the back on these tall seats watching. This was my 3rd time going to see the show being made. We knew the deal, so what they do at the start, they ask you to cheer and to boo, so that sometimes it can cut away to the audience doing the cheering and booing. And we were also given these light up sticks or polystyrene tubes to wave around. Jolly times. We watched the show being live recorded. It's always fun doing that because you see bloopers and just seeing famous people and watching how stuff gets made. I really enjoyed it, and I understood quite a bit of it, because don't forget, it's still Welsh and I'm still learning the language. But we saw Ruth Jones. My door seeing was correct. She talked in Welsh and her journey learning Welsh. Like, I'd seen her on Iaith ar Daith, which is a Welsh learning language programme where Welsh celebrities who don't know the language or very little of it go on a road trip learning Welsh. It's a really good programme. And I know Ruth Jones from Gavin and Stacey and Fat Friends. Both are fab programmes I've watched and binged. Gavin and Stacey being special. And but there's quite a big queue of people wanting to take a photo with her. Theo got his first, then she walked off, and I very nearly didn't get to have a photo. But I managed to ask her before she left, bless her. And she probably wanted to get out of there. She was lovely though, but I managed to get my photo. I was very happy. I showed my mum. She was really jealous because my mum loves Ruth Jones. And yeah, I walked Theo halfway to Cardiff Central, and then I walked back to mine. It was a fab night out, and I would 100% do it again. It's free to go to. You get to be on telly, and it's free drinks. Oh, and you get to meet famous people. Bargain! It's a brilliant experience, and I want to get as much as I can while I'm in uni, because it makes for brilliant memories. I love it. Most of the time when we watch the programme being made, I have no idea who the guests are, but on this occasion I got lucky. Altogether, it's been a really busy few weeks, and I think I'm going to end the video here because so much has gone on that if I don't make the video and cut the video off at this point, I'm going to end up with a backlog, and then that's a nightmare having to edit 30 to 40 minutes of a video. I'm currently halfway through editing this, and it's going to be like 40 minutes. it is going to be taking me a while. But it's worth it though. That Talent Inc. thing I talked about earlier took about like 15 minutes because it was such a big event that just ultimately disappointed because of how shit they ended up being. But that's just one thing. The fact that I was one of the 10 out of 100 being chosen, it means something, do you know what I mean? Even if I can't ultimately do it, the fact that I was within the 10% they wanted, bit of an ego boost. But between that, going to see Jonathan, the Halloween party out, and our general uni work, and the free food testing, I think that's everything I've mentioned. It's been a very busy few weeks, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But thank you all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a good day. Don't forget to drink hot chocolate. Stay safe. And from me, what shall I use? I'm not using 13, that's crap. I'll use this one. It's goodbye for now. That's embarrassing. Is the battery gone? Huh. Nailed it. Maybe $2,000, 2,000. Mainly, no, fuck off. Hey, nonchalant. Like that, but it didn't work. It just didn't really work. That was the thing. That was very cringy even in my head. But yeah, depending on your audience.